everyone, let us see how to create backside of Indian rupee coin in Photoshop. So let us start. Let us first create the document. So I will select A4 size, landscape, and we will select a transparent background. Then we will give it a name Indian rupee and simply click create. So once your document is created, now we will first create the ellipse required for our coin. So I will select the ellipse tool and activate the rulers by hitting Ctrl R and simply hold shift and create an ellipse. Create a perfect ellipse. Right. Center align the ellipse to the document. Right. Next, we will apply a gradient to the ellipse. We will first turn off the stroke and then we will just click on the fill options and then we will select the gradient. So the gradient we are supposed to apply to our coin is, we will just click on this black slider and we will just select the gradient, the color value for the gradient, which is 454444, so which is a grayish color. Right. And for another slider, we'll just double click on the slider. We will just put the value D8, D6, D6. Right. And in the angle we will put 144. So this is how you are supposed to create the gradient. Right. So once the gradient is created for our ellipse, we will duplicate our ellipse layer. Simply hit Ctrl J. And then for this duplicate, we will turn off the fill and we will apply a stroke. We can select any color because we are anyways not going to use any color for this. We will be using it as an outline, as a border for our coin. So simply we can use any value for this stroke, but make sure that it is not too big. Okay, somewhere around 30 pixels is okay. Right. Now we will just make the fill 0% because we will be applying an outline using the bevel and emboss layer style. So I have made this fill 0%. Now double click on this ellipse layer and then simply select bevel and emboss. So you can see a an outline around this coin. We will first reset the values and then we will just use some of the values here, such as we will try to increase the depth. So we will increase the depth value to 700. Right. And then we will come down to this shading section, and here we will try to turn off this use global light, and we can change the angle value here. So we can see here we will keep it around 144. Right. And we can actually slightly increase the soften value. Right. So this much settings are enough actually. So we can actually play with this depth value. It's not necessarily 700. We can keep it around 800 or in between 700 and 800. Right. So once these values are done, now it's the time for us to get our emblem, the national emblem of India. So we'll just browse to the file. We'll just select the emblem, and what we'll do is we'll first unlock the background. We'll remove all the white color, the white background outside. So we'll just select the magic eraser tool and remove the white background actually. So but there is also some white in these letters. Let us check whether there is any white. Okay, there is some white here, so we'll zoom into these letters, and we will also remove this white. Right. So once we have removed these letters, removed the white, so we'll just drag this emblem and keep it exactly at the center of this document. We'll scale it. Right. We can scale it a little bit. We can make it a little bit small. Right. Now it's fine. So now the next step is we will apply a filter to this, a filter. So we'll be applying a emboss, a bas relief filter, which will give it an emboss feel actually. We'll give it an emboss effect. So what we'll do is select this layer, and we'll just go to the filter, and in filter we will go to filter gallery. But before that, make sure that the foreground and background color are black and white. You simply hit D on the keyboard so that the foreground and background color will change to black and white, and we'll go to filter gallery, and here we will select the sketch options and we'll select the bas relief. So immediately you can see some change. So what we want is we will increase the detail, but the light option here we will select bottom left. Right. So now it looks fine, and simply click OK. So we got some change, but we want more realism. So what we'll do is we'll take a duplicate of this, Ctrl J, and then we will turn off the fill value for this, and we'll double click and go to the bevel and emboss, and we can give some bevel options here. So we can slightly increase the size here, so you can see the changes. Right. And we can also give it a chisel hard in technique. We can slightly change the depth value, and we can also play with this angle value. So you don't have to put the specific value till you achieve the right result. You can change them. Okay, for angle we can stick to 121. Right, and we can soften it a little bit. Right. So the next thing we can do is we can actually use a blending mode here. We can use hard light blending mode. if you want a more interesting result. Take a duplicate of this layer by hitting Ctrl J to enhance the effect of hard light. Right. So now we are done with the emblem. So the next thing we are supposed to do is, so we want to apply a coin texture to this coin. So I have already downloaded the coin texture. So this is the coin texture we will be applying to the coin actually. So what I am going to do is, from this document I will just drag this coin texture over this coin. So we can just simply scale it. Right. So the next thing we are supposed to do is we will drag this texture layer above the ellipse, actually the first ellipse that we have created, and then we have to make it into a clipping mask. So how to make it into a clipping mask? Simply hold Alt and click in between this texture layer and the ellipse layer. You will see a down pointing arrow. The moment you see the down pointing arrow, click on the left mouse. See. So now we have the texture over this coin. We will slightly increase the texture. Right. But we don't want it to be in yellow color. So what we'll do is we will just go to this blending mode options and we will select a blending mode that will blend the texture properly. So we can select overlay, and also we will convert it into a black and white by hitting Ctrl Shift Q. Right. So now you can see the texture properly, and if you think the texture is too dark, we can reduce the opacity here. Right. So around 65% is okay, and if you want more darkness, you can simply duplicate the layer and again make it into a clipping mask and again reduce the opacity here. Right. So now it looks fine. So now we'll put the text India on the right side of this coin. So for that we'll take a new layer, we'll select the curvature pen tool, we'll select the path because the text will be a little bit bent. So what I will do is I will select the curvature pen tool and then we will create a curve on the right side of the coin. So simply create a curve like this using the curvature pen tool. Make sure that the option is path here. Then we'll select the text and we will select Arial black, which is the thickest font, and we will click over this path and we will type the word India. Right, and we will use our path selection to just get all the letters. So it's actually India. Right. Now we will adjust the text properly on the right side of the coin. We'll make it a little bit small. Right. Just adjust it properly. Now we'll just apply the bevel and emboss layer style to this text. So we will remove the fill, double click on the layer style, double click on the text layer to open the layer style and select bevel and emboss, and we can stick to the default settings here. In case you want to do some changes, we will reset to default and then we'll only change the depth value here. We'll keep the depth value as 750. That's it. We don't have to change anything else. So we can see the text here. Right. We'll click OK. Now the only thing left for us to do is we have to put the Hindi text on the left side of this coin. So for that we have to go to Google Input Tools, and here we will select the language Hindi. So you have to go to just google.com, and we will select this Google Input Tools. We'll select this link, and here we will click on this try it out, and from this list of languages we will select Hindi. Here we will type Bharat. Right, so I have selected this word and copied it, and then we'll come back to the Photoshop. In Photoshop we cannot directly paste the Hindi word, so what we have to do is we have to do some settings. So simply go to preferences, and here in type we have to put the option for the text engine options as world ready. So we have to select the world ready layout as the option for choose text engine options, because only if this option is on, it will support the local languages such as the South Asian languages. If not, it will only support Latin and East Asian languages. And once this setting is turned on, you have to click OK, close Photoshop and open Photoshop again. Only then the local language options will work. Right. So the next thing is we will now select the text. We will take a new layer. Just click here, and you also need a Hindi font to type in Hindi. So I have downloaded one font called Krishna Bold. So here Krishna Bold is there. So I have selected this font, and then we'll paste Bharat. Right. So then what we'll do is we will make it big, and we also want it to be a little bit bent. So for that what we'll do is we will select the text. This time I will not use the curvature pen tool. What I will do is I will just select this option, warp text. So from warp text I will select arc. So simply select the arc option. Right, just increase it to okay, 65 is okay. The bend value should be 65. Right, then simply rotate the text, scale it down, adjust it properly, make it a little bit big. Right. So then we'll do the same thing. We'll apply the bevel and emboss to this text. So what we'll do is we will, instead of applying the layer style again, so we can simply copy the layer style that we have applied to this India, and we'll paste it over this Hindi word. So what we'll do is simply, here we have FX icon, hold Alt and simply drag the FX icon over this Hindi word. Right, and then we'll also remove the fill for this Hindi word. Right. So we can adjust it properly. Right. So now we have completed our coin. So just one last thing is left, that is we can take a common layer here by using the shortcut Ctrl Alt Shift and E, and then we can apply a curves adjustment layer to this, and make sure that the curves is targeting the coin, actually the coin layer which is below it. So we'll simply click on this button for the curves options, and we can actually just try to make sure that it is not too bright or too dark. So something like this. Slightly reduce the brightness. Right. It's very slight. Right. So now we'll save it as a PNG file. We'll crop it, go to image and crop, and then we'll save it as a PNG file. File, export, and we can use this export as PNG, and then we'll simply use Indian rupee backside, and we'll save it on our desktop. Right. So we'll see the final output. We'll open the photos. So this is the final result that we got. So I hope you like it. If you have not yet subscribed, do subscribe, like, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment, and see you again.